Hello and welcome back to another week, another episode of The Garden of Ethan. I am glad you were here. I am glad to be back. I'm having the best time just getting a chat with y'all, talk, shoot the shit. I've moved back a little. I'm less in your face. I know if you're watching, because I guess I actually don't know. I put this in the podcast category on YouTube. Like, that's how I upload it. I don't know if that means you watch it. I should investigate myself because I can click on my own videos. But I am an idiot and never go into those things. But if you can see me, I've moved back a little, partly because I want to be away from the light because it is boiling hot, and I will get into the weather again because I know it's a boring topic, but it's one that I like to talk about. Does that say something more about me than it does about anyone else? Maybe it does. Also, I'm sorry I'm going so far into the mic, but we're having a fun, you gotta yell at the people you want to chat with. So that's what I'm doing. But I'm moving back. We're having a casual time. We're having fun. We're laid back. We're having a good chat. We're catching up. We're talking about stuff. But as I said, gotta go into the weather. It is hot. Am I sweating? Yes, literally, constantly, all the time. It's one of those weeks here in Melbourne, and it happens a lot generally when we switch into different seasons, different time of the years. We have multiple 30-degree days, nice and hot, and then it'll dip down into the 20s and stuff. It'll be freezing for a couple of days, and it just roller coasters us. I'm constantly thrown off by it because I'm like, why the hell would you do this to me? Weather, why would you do it to me? But today is especially worse because there is nothing like a hot day which just sends me out, but a hot day that is humid. Ooh, get fucked. Get absolutely out of here. I hate humidity. I get it. I like it. I could appreciate it, but my body is not climatized to humid. Last night it rained so much, and it was a hot rain. And today, I feel like I haven't ever stopped sweating. And do you need to know this much? No, but we're friends here. We're having fun chat, so I'm telling you about this. But last night was actually really cool. I'm lying in bed, trying to get to sleep, sitting there like a vampire. And I'm gotta get up early, gotta go to the gym. I'm trying, when you are trying so hard to get to sleep that you can barely get to sleep. You're I've got to go to sleep now or else I don't hit these certain amount of hours and then I'm going to feel like shit. And you think so much about it. So I'm lying there thinking about sleeping, not sleeping, as I feel is a very relatable thing. But just staring at the ceiling, and I'm why? I was kind of open eyes, closed eyes, not paying much attention. I kept seeing these bloody flashes and I was what's going on? And my window in my bedroom, this isn't my bedroom, as you can see, no bed, but the window in my bedroom is next to the neighbors. I'm assuming it's a bathroom. I don't know them, but but they leave that light on. Me be so annoyed at my neighbor. They leave it on and turn it on in weird times of the night, and it kind of lights up my room. It's not the biggest deal. I can get over it. But I was just looking around. I was what are they having a fucking disco in there? What? It's I'm where are all the lights coming from? And I'm lying there. I'm what the hell's going on? I peek through the blinds. I'm what's going? I'm an old man in one of those old movie. I'm what are they doing? What are these neighbors doing? They're actually way older than me, I'm pretty sure. But I'm looking in the sky and I just see the sky light up, crazy amounts of light. I'm holy shit. I didn't realize it because I had the fan on because it was so hot. There's thunder, so loud, rolling thunder, is that what it's called? But it was just echoing and the lightning was fantastic. As a kid, I was kind of obsessed with, I don't know, lightning to me is so cool. I love a thunderstorm. I love rain. I love looking at it, listening to it. Don't want to get struck by lightning. That scares the shit out of me. I also did think about that for half an hour instead of trying to go to sleep. I was what happens if I get struck by lightning while I'm sleeping? Does anyone else get paranoid about the strangest things ever? I'm lying there. I'm what if I have my phone on me and the lightning comes in through the window to hit my phone and it hits me? What happens if you get struck by lightning? Because I am nuts. But I'm just lying there, and I was literally thinking, I was I couldn't even imagine what paparazzi is like, but that's what I imagined, because there was just, it was like a constant flashing, and it was going on for ages, and I was so shocked. I like woke up in the morning, I like went to my roommate, I was like, did you see all that lightning? He's like, no. I was like, what? I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, it was so cool. He's like, must have been asleep. I was like, how could you go to sleep with all this like fantastical light show that's going on? I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I love it. I did ring my mom and I was like, did you see the lightning? She's like, yeah, kind of. I was like, why did no one see it? Get on Twitter. Good old Twitter is my safe space. When I need to know something that's going on, it's there. Also, follow me on Twitter if you want. Links in the description. But I like go on Twitter, I like click on trending, because you know, if something's popular in Melbourne, it gets talked. I feel like in any country, if you look like where you are, and it's like Melbourne weather, and I was like, yes, it is trending, only like in Australia, but I was like, good, I can see. I was hopefully, maybe if I'm like good and can find the tweets when I edit this, because this will go up like a week later, I will pop them up. But there was just, I was like watching people's like cameras like in the house, videos people took, and I was like, you know, it's not that interesting, but I feel like I don't see like you don't get to see it that much, and as someone who's always very fascinated by it, and it looks so cool, I was just looking at it, I was like, wow, look at all these videos. I like showed him my housemate, and he's like, yeah, that's cool, like come on, like why are you a 5-year-old? I'm like, look, lightning. I don't know, there's just something about it that like a natural like phenomenon. I'm just like, it's so amazing. I'm like, a lightning strike is so powerful, and the sound of the, like, this planet's kind of cool. Like, don't know if you know this, we live on kind of a funky place, y'all. Like, shit goes down. But no, I was just like so enthused and fascinated. I love a lightning stuff. But that was my story from last night. I just had to talk about it because it's one of those things where I was like, so just the amount of light, I could not even like tell you. It probably wasn't even as cool as I was like thinking it was in the moment, and maybe like looking back, it wasn't nearly as like crazy or anything, but I was just like, holy shit, like all this bloody light in my room. Crazy stuff. But yeah, I wanted to talk about, because I was experiencing, as probably you know, if you're watching this, you've maybe come from a reaction commentary of mine, something I've reacted to. And I love talking more about movies. I was like, literally when I was thinking about like ideas for the podcast, and I wanted to do like we chat, I talk about stories, I could do like, if I wanted to make it like fun, like no like rigid like plan or anything, just kind of a stream of consciousness. That's what I want. That's what I enjoy listening to. So that's what I want to make. And I thought it would be very fun. But I did think at one point, I was like, oh, I could do like a movie breakdown or TV show breakdown and talk about things that like I watch more, to like go in depth. Like when you have time to digest what I've watched. Because sometimes I get to an end of a movie or even a TV show. TV shows are easier because you have a lot of time like over the series to like figure out what your thoughts are and what you're thinking about. But after a movie, sometimes I get to the end and I go, holy, like, what did I just watch? What's going on? How am I feeling? I don't know how I'm feeling, and I don't have the right words. But I watched a movie today, and it will be up by now because this will go out after it, but I record them on the same day. It's funny how time works and posting schedules work. But I watched a movie today called Leave the World Behind. It was a whole thing. If you watch my intro, I say why I watched that movie. Very interesting movie, very cool. I was very, and I said this a couple of times, I don't want to repeat myself if anyone watched that and then's coming here. I don't need to say the same thing, but very like Bird Box vibe. Very cool movie, a thriller, very suspenseful, left me with like an eerie feeling. You know what I mean? And this is what I wanted to talk about, especially like after watching that movie. Do you ever watch a movie and it just stays with you? And it doesn't have to be thriller, horror. It could be, you know, comedy, romance, action. I feel like there are certain movies, and not all movies do it, but a lot do it, and I think it depends on the person too, that they just stay with you, or that whatever you watch, you encompass the vibe of that movie. I think it's such an interesting do I want to say phenomena? Interesting thing that happens, and I feel like I definitely have it myself, and I assume other people experience this, but I never hear anyone talk about it. Or maybe I'm just not in the right circles. That could definitely be it. So I watched this, like, it's a thriller movie. It's very intense and stressful. It's about spoilers if we're going in, but watch my commentary and then you don't have to, or watch the movie. I would say it was a fairly good movie. I liked it, though there are definitely a lot of different opinions on it if you go on Twitter. But it has, plane crashes, scary, like AI, like cars driving themselves, like who to trust, kind of morals, ethical, like the country was collapsing, we don't know what's going on, and it just has that like eerie feeling of like possibly the future or what could happen. There was a bit of like the gross bits, like it left me with this feeling of like not like uncertainty, like a bit of like distrust, and it just stayed with me. And I was going, because I was like, oh, I need to let my phone charge, because that's what I film on. I was like, I need to let my phone charge after a movie because my battery dies so quickly. So I was like, oh, I'll go like, eat lunch, do my things in between. I was like, oh, I'll do all the washing, put the washing out like on the clothesline. And as I said, because it has been rainy, it's been kind of dark, a very cloudy day. There's still like thunder rolling around everywhere, having a ball up in the sky. So I'm out there like putting the clothes on the line, and I felt like I was in a thriller. I felt like I was in a horror movie. The feeling stayed with me. I'm putting like, I'm slowly putting these things up, clotheslines making that creaky sound, the clothes are like in the wind. I'm seeing planes like fly by, and it just like, there's just this eerie feeling and nothing's happening. I'm watching like some person will walk by the like my house, and I'll kind of be like, who are they? Do I trust them? Cars slowly drive by because I live near a corner, so they have to slow down. But I'm like, why are they slowing down? Like, I just didn't have any trust in anything. I was like scared the plane was gonna fall out of the sky. I was just like on edge. Everything felt heightened. I was like, what do I trust? What's happening? And it was just crazy. And I know it's the same thing I have with different, like, if I watch a action movie, I'm usually really like hyper after. I'm like ready. I'll like go up to my housemate. I'll be like, yes, let's fight. I want to fight. Like, I get that. Comedy or like a good romance movie will just leave me in like a flirty fun mood. Sometimes I'll just be really happy. And I feel like it's so interesting the way that movies leave you with these different feelings. This one, not as positive. A horror can be even worse. So I'll watch a horror, and I love a good horror, do not get me wrong, but after it happens, I'm just like, I don't feel safe. I was like, I don't trust anyone. I've just like, got a knife with me. I'm like, I'm scared. Watch out. I'm gonna stab something. I don't trust anything. But it was just as that weird that feeling, and I wanted to know, does anyone else get that? Like, things stay with them, and you really like take them with you into your day. And I feel like it fades fairly quickly. It's just a very interesting thing that I was like, this has happened to me all my life, but I've never heard anyone talk about it. So obviously we're gonna talk about it so I can know these things. But I was like also like watching some TV, and I was thinking about how weird it is, because doing like this is something that I really enjoy and love and get to do, but it's so strange the way it has changed the way that I consume media. Obviously, I'm a big TV and film person. That's why I want to do this. I want to like talk about it, connect, entertain. I want to make someone's day happy. But like also it's because I love film and TV. That's why I chose, that's why I wanted to do reacting. It's such a passion and fun thing that I love and want to share with other people. But doing reactions and stuff now has completely changed the way like I take on watching things in my own time. And I talked to my housemate about this. I'm like, yeah, I just like don't watch anything anymore on my own, because I feel like I'm like, oh, like I love doing it and getting to share it. I'm like, well, I don't want to watch anything because I want to be able to like put it out there and talk about it. Also, a lot of people don't like people talking through their stuff. So I like, and as we know, I never shut the fuck up. So I was like, I can't have this persona going into watching things with other people. So I barely ever, and I was like watching TV today, and I only really watch things that I have seen before. And I was just thinking about it. I was like, it's crazy the way that I've just completely like switched up the way I watch things. Also, I'm rewatching The Office for like the 8th time. Let me know if anyone has watched that. Well, a lot of people have watched that, I know that. But let me know if you like it or enjoy it. It is such like a dear show to me. I know it's very like, it's got some like, some of their jokes have really not aged well, but I think it's really cute. There's like this beautiful story at the center of it. I think they're very interesting characters. I think that the characters in that show could be absolutely like stunning. I don't know. It's one of those things where I watched and loved it, and I don't think I could ever not like it. It's such a good show. I like it. Also, the romance between Jim and Pam, like, oh, I could do a whole podcast on The Office. Oh my god, an Office podcast? Wouldn't that be fun? But I was just thinking about it. I was like, it's crazy how like doing this makes me so different in how I like consume media these days. Anywho, we're moving on. I was in one of my previous episodes. I said something about a jury duty story, and someone was like, "Oh, it'd be cool to hear the jury duty story," and I was like, "Yes." I can tell that, because it was a really like fun, weird, crazy experience that I didn't think I'd go through till a lot later in life. I know jury duty is random, and once you know what? I don't know how the system works. In Australia, I assume once you turn 18, you can be eligible for it. But I don't know anyone my age who has ever done it. I had never heard of anyone who's done it. My parents had never talked to me. I assume maybe one of them have done it. But this happened maybe, I don't even know, at the start of this year. I cannot tell you. But I think it was this year. I would be fairly confident that it would be this year. But it was just a whole experience that I was not ready for. Because in my mind, in my heart of hearts, I am still like 14 years old. I am a child. I don't know how to navigate this adult world that I live in. I don't know what to do. So I got my summons for jury duty, and I was like, oh shit, like I've got to go in, and I was like so scared. I was like, oh my gosh, and like you gotta like, you could be there. You're reading the stuff, and you're like, you could be there for months. Like you could, depending on what deal you get, or trial, what thing you have to sit in on. You could be there for ages, and I was like, holy shit, like I'm scared. Granted, you do get paid. It's an interesting thing. Like you get paid like a certain amount for like 1 week, and then if it goes over a certain time, you get like an extra bonus of so many, like $50 a day possibly, but also whatever you were meant to work. If you have to miss work, you earn that too. So it's a crazy thing. Like it's kind of like a weird like mini work vacation. Like you go work somewhere else from your normal job, because like obviously jury duty is not a vacation, and you got to take it seriously. So I was stressed. I was like going to this thing, and I was like, fuck, like I don't know, I could be here forever. Like going to the city every day, literally been a normal part of society. But I was just like this could be really intense. So I go into the city by myself. I was like, oh god, I'm like talking to my mom. I was like, I don't know where to go. I got there so early because I was like practically casing the joint. I was like, I need to know, because when I don't know where I'm going, I get there so early and make sure like I figure out. And it was at the time, I'm assuming maybe you'd still have to do it. I had to like get a COVID test before to like make sure I could be in there, which was like in some random car park, and I was like freaking out. I was like, is this the right place? I was like, had to fill out the form. I was like scary about it. I was just such a mess. But I eventually got into the place. You know, you got to line up, you got to go through different beeping machines. You've got to like do a lot of waiting, a lot of like talking to different people to like go to different places and say all these things. And I am so awkward in conversations. I just like sit there and I'm like, do I have any questions? No, definitely not. Probably 1,000, but I can't formulate them anymore because I am scared of talking to literally anyone. So I go through like the process of getting ready. It's fine. I'm sitting down. I'm playing games on my phone. I liked it how everyone that showed up is like bought a laptop is like doing work, or like a book looks like a citizen. I'm literally like playing Pokemon on my phone, or like Clash of Clans or something to like pass the time. My phone battery really dipped. Luckily you don't need it in the trial, because I was like, shit, if I'm here any longer I'm running out of battery and will not be able to get home. I get lost fairly easily. Actually, no, that's bad. I have some awareness of where I am going. I'm not throwing myself under the bus that much. But they were like, round up, we're giving you your trials, and you're like, oh shit. So you're like all set. They run through, you had to do like a video online to like prep yourself to know how everything works. They show a couple of other videos. They like make sure you have like seen it, and then you all get like allocated a random number, and then they're like first trial, estimated days, such and such, and then they like call out the random numbers, and you go up. You have to like pump your like hands with like hand sanitizer, put on a mask, or maybe we already had masks, I don't know, and then like go up and line up. And I was like, I feel like I'm in primary school but also in prison. Like I mean like the weirdest, it's like such a strange experience there, and there's like people from all walks of life there, which is obviously it's random, and you're just like, oh my god, like, you know, will you ever see these people again? It's just crazy. So I was sitting there waiting. I think a couple went through. There was like a short trial, then a long trial. And I was like, shit, like I don't want the long one. Even though I was like, it could be, you know, very interesting and whatever. But I was like, it could be just so draining. So I think the third one comes up. And my memory is a bit foggy. But I think most of this I remember pretty well. The third trial comes up. And they're like calling the numbers. And they call me. And you have to like say, I was like, here, or like yes, or I think you just have to like say something to acknowledge you're here, and then like go up. And I'm like, okay. So I like grab my backpack. I think I had like a big jacket because it was during winter, and I like walk up. I'm like grabbing all my stuff. I'm walking. I'm like and they're like, hand sanitizer. I went to grab the hand sanitizer, knocked it off the desk, dropped all my stuff, and I was like I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I was like, everyone's looking at me. I'm like, oh no, I'm that dumb kid. I'm the dumb kid. And I don't want to be the dumb kid. No one wants to be the dumb kid. I was like, fuck. I was like, I'm like, sorry. No one cared. Literally no one cared. But I feel like I have just like murdered someone. I was like, oh, sorry. I'm like ready to cry. I was like, holy shit. But they don't care. They're like, yeah, just go line up. They're like, this is not a big deal. I'm like, yes, it is. I disgraced your sanitizer. I'm sorry. 1,000 sorries. I like walk off. I get lined up, and they like take us, and they like go through this like different place. We go like upstairs. We get walked through this place. Kind of feel like a VIP. I was kind of like, oh yeah, like, oh, through the back place. So you're like, oh, going up to like the high levels. I was like, this building is huge. Like our like judge, like the way the courts work. I'm pretty sure in Melbourne, our like 3 courts are like buildings are all next to each other on like an intersection, like on 3 different sides of, you know, if an intersection has 4, they're on 3 different sides, and they have like the smaller court for like traffic stuff, and then the medium court for, I feel like, and I'm just like generalizing and putting only one category in, maybe like family disputes, and then the major court for probably like murder, like the stuff of thing, you know, you got your 3 like kind of tiers. I think we're in the middle one. But I'm not really sure. But we went up high, and I was like looking at, I was like, we have such a nice view. Literally the first thing like half the people in our group did was walk up to the window and take pictures. I already had my phone switched off, turned it back on, took a couple of pictures, and then turned it off straight away, because I was like, it's a view. You're allowed to take pictures of the view of Melbourne. But it was just really nice. And like we all line up, and we're getting ready to go in, and they're like, you know, does anyone have to pee before you go in? I'm like, are we kids? I was like, are we at primary school? I don't know how this is working, but I feel like a child. Everyone left. Everyone's like, well, you know, we might as well go. So we get back, and then it's like the serious stuff starts. Like you have to go in. I didn't go. I don't want to spoil it, but I think I'm allowed to talk about what I'm allowed to talk about. Anywho, and also I'll be giving such little details that it'll be fine. I'm just like, legally, what am I allowed to say? We'll keep this on the hush hush. We'll pretend, luckily we'll pretend no one heard anything. Anywho, so everyone goes to the toilet. We like go into this jury duty we sit down, we're like, all right, I'm scared out of my mind. The case was between two people. One person, this is all I'm going to say, one person did a bad thing to another person. That's, that gives nothing. And like the bad till proven guilty, what is it? Innocent till proven guilty? Yeah, that's the saying, right? The person who is the bad person is like sitting behind you. What are they called? On trial? On trial. Maybe we'll say that. Is like behind you, which I didn't even know. And like some people like turning around and I was like, I don't want to move. And like the judge comes in and they read out the stuff about the case and like they walk you through it and you're like, holy shit. And then they're like, oh, getting dismissed, all this different stuff. And it was very interesting how it all works. And they're talking about how, if you go through any of these different, reasons, you can be excused from the trial. And I was like, okay, like, got to listen to them if you know anyone. And then they read out all these names about who could be involved. Because if you know them, you can't, be a juror for it. So I was like, okay, I'm like listening to the people. I like hear a name and I was like, that name sounds familiar. To this day, still don't know if that was the person or not, but you can't like take a chance. So I was like, I'm sitting there, I'm sweating, I'm shaking, I'm so scared because I'm like, I gotta tell the judge that I'm like, I don't know if I know this person or not. You have to stand up and be like, talk to the judge, man, and talk about like why you want to be excused. And I was like, I don't like speaking anyway, and this is such a serious place. I was like so scared. And you have your number. You're all numbers. You're not people anymore. They strip you of your humanity, and you're a number. And I'm like trying to remember my number because they're like calling people out, talking if you want to be excused or not. And oh my god, this judge was telling people, you can't be excused. So I was like scared out of my mind to just talk to him because I was like, I don't want him to be mad at me or anything. Literally, some person was like, oh, can I be excused? Like, I've got to go to something. And he was like, I think they'll understand. And I was like, oh my god. I was like, okay, sorry. It wasn't even me and I'm scared. But obviously he was very professional. I'm just a chicken. I was so scared of literally everything going on there. But like my name gets called out and you have to say like, excuse or something. Yeah, there's all these words that I've forgotten since there, but you have to like say something to let them know. And then they take them all and then they call up the people who need to be excused. Everything takes like forever, but it has to be like thoroughly done. So I completely understand why all these people, go up and ask to be excused. So then it's my go. I have to like shuffle through everyone. I'm freaking out. I go up to this little lectern and I'm like, hello. And he's like, number this or whatever you are. Like, what is your reason to be excused? And I was like, well, I think I may know a person. And I was like, I was like, the name is really familiar. I know someone with that name, but I don't know who. Like, it's one of those things where it's like a friend of a friend of a friend that I had met once someplace. But I was like, I recognize the name. I can't tell if that's actually the person or not. But I was like, I just thought I'd tell you because, like, you said you have to like figure it out. I was like, oh my god. I was like, please have mercy on me. I was like, just don't yell at me. I can't take it. I'm too scared. I'm too scared of you. And he's like, what? And I was like, oh, like this person may be someone I know, but I don't, like in contact with, I met them once. So I was like, but I don't, I don't know like their surname, but it could be, it couldn't be. I was like, please have mercy on me. He's like, okay, excused. Makes sense. I was like, oh. I was like, that was so easy. I was like, I wasn't trying to get out of it. I thought you would like really grill me about if I thought I knew them or not. I was like, okay, cool. And you have to like sit back down and it's strange to me that you do wait and watch all the people get picked because all the people get randomly picked and the accused or whatever can choose who not to have, or they get like two people that they don't take on the thing. And I was like, this stuff is very like interesting to learn about, like how like a court runs. I thought it was very fascinating to see. But they were like, okay, everyone else out of there. And I was like, oh my god. I was like, okay. But I was really disappointed in a way because I knew this was a medium like length trial and I was like, fuck. And they said, oh, if you don't get picked, you go back into the pool, you go back downstairs, you wait for another one, and you get allocated. And I was like, fuck, I did, like, that already took like an hour or something, and I've been here for hours, I got an hour, and then I've got to go into a new one and start another one. And I was like, oh god. So we go back downstairs, and I I'm like downstairs, and I'm in the waiting room back there, and they get us all together, and they the lady comes up to the mic and goes, yeah, we got no more today, you're all good to go. I was like, good to go? What do you mean? I was like, do we have to come back? I was like, oh, do we? She's like, yep, you're done. You won't get called for another. I don't know what the grace period was. I think it was like a couple of years. You don't get put back in the lot to like randomly get selected. You can, though, which I find interesting, be like, oh, no, you can put me back straight away. I was like, maybe that's like people love this stuff and find it really interesting. I was like, I don't and don't want to, so I will take the grace period. But then it's also like random after that happens. But I was like, do I want to go through this experience again? I didn't even have to do anything, and I was like stressed out and a little like paranoid and anxious about everything that was happening. But I feel like now if I did go to another one, I'd feel a lot more like I knew what I was like. I've done this before. I haven't done the actual stuff, but as a very like unique and strange experience. I don't know if jury duty feels like normal to anyone or it's always gonna be crazy. But it was just like, it was one of those days I skipped out of there. I was on the phone to my mum. I was like, I didn't even have to do it. I was like ready to tell people. I was like, I was like crazy. I didn't even have to do anything. I was like, I feel like some people it would be a real 50-50. Some people would be really disappointed they didn't get to do it. I was so happy. I was like, I don't have to do this again. I was absolutely jazzed. But yeah, that's my jury duty story. It's not like the craziest. I didn't go. Also, I think if I did go into like a trial, I wouldn't get to talk about it. I think like legally, I don't know like what you're allowed to say or how long after it happens. At least while it's happening, you're not meant to tell anyone about it. But I was like, I didn't do anything, therefore I think I'm allowed to talk about it. Also, I left out all the actual details of the thing. So I think I'm in the clear. You'd hope. Should I send this to a lawyer before I post it? Like, am I allowed to say any of this? I think everything I said was generally common knowledge. Especially since I'm trying to reassure myself that I'm fine. Anywho, the last story I wanted to talk about that we're coming back to from a couple of weeks ago. We're talking about different like supermarket like horror stories from when I used to work at a supermarket or different things. And I'd been thinking, and it's weird how many, like, I know I dealt with so many horrible people. And obviously most of the population, lovely. Most of the people I got to interact with, fantastic. But you really remember the bad ones, and I remember having a lot of bad ones. I feel like I just blocked so many of them out. And even from when I was a waiter waiter, I worked at a cafe. I was a waiter. There were like so many different horrible experiences, but you just like block them out because if you keep them all, you really like, they eat into you. Like I was even thinking about some, I remembered ones that happened to like different co-workers. I remember one of my co-workers, poor kid, he was like a lot younger than me because obviously supermarkets hire like, like late teenagers. And he got absolutely chewed out by this lady over the phone for like some order that was wrong or something. And I felt so bad. She was so like rude to him. He like got off the phone. He was like really visibly upset. I was like, we've all been through it with a customer. Like, don't worry. And he's like, can you take it? And can you do all the calls from her? Like next, I was like, yes, of course. Like, don't worry. Yes, of course I'll do it because I don't want you to have to go through that again. And I was so dismissive to her on the phone because I was really ready to say, you just nearly made my fucking coworker cry, you bitch. I was like, you were so rude. But I feel like, and it's crazy how like mean people take different people because, I was higher than him on the ladder of seniority. She was like fine with me because I was like being very like blunt and authoritative. I was like, sorry, what's the problem? Like, give me like she said some things. I was like, actually that has been refunded. Like I was like telling her straight, and she was like, oh okay, oh maybe that was my mistake. And I was like, yeah, well maybe you shouldn't yell at bloody kids first, and then we'll sort out your problems. It's crazy the things people will say to people who just like work at a supermarket who don't have any like knowledge or like control over like the basic goings ons that happen. I'm like, they don't work at head office. They don't make all the rules here. They're just like these kids trying to enforce things, and people will absolutely like yell and scream at them or just be completely rude to them. I'm like, why are you so intent? Like, especially ones that like you can see have like children, like they have children with them, and they're just completely rude. And you're like, when your children grow up, do you want some like older person yelling at them for doing their best, like the best they can? Yes, I know not every supermarket employee is like the best at their job, or like will fuck up every now and then and do big fuck. I used to do big fuck ups all the time, but luckily, like, you know, I was pretty good at like dealing with it. I'm pretty good at being like, shit, I fucked up, like, can you just like wait there for a second, I'll fix it all. But like some people are just like shyer, and I am shy and anxious. Just at that workplace I got good at like, you gotta lay down the law or like people eat you alive. And it's just a crazy thought that like adults will just be so rude and mean to kids. I was like, where like, as a society, what's going on? Like, who like thought that, yes, I'm just going to be a dick to these children doing their best, which is gonna segue in to my arch nemesis. I had an arch nemesis at this the store I worked at. I hated it. He was a customer. I literally, like, I don't hate many things. Yes, I do, but I don't hate many people. I don't think. I hated this man. He was the absolute worst. And I reckon, I have a theory that he was really like a sad person and like liked coming in and causing chaos and being rude. It just gave him a kick. And like, yeah, like I get it, but like, take it out somewhere else instead of people just like trying to do their job, because he would come in and just complain. Like, everyone hated him. It wasn't like a me thing. Everyone hated him, but I had just like a personal vendetta against him. So he was a shit. Like, I remember he came in one time, he was talking about different things with one of my managers at the time, like that I worked with a lot, and they were talking about masks, and she was like trying to tell him like why we wear them, because, you know, during COVID obviously we're all wearing masks, and he's like refusing and stuff, and she was like kind of getting shitty with him, as you would. They're like, that's kind of the rules, it's just how it happens. And then he literally said something like, oh, if you're not going to be nice, why are you working here? Or like, if you're not going to be like provide good service, why are you working here? She like cracked the shits and just walked off. She was like, okay, you deal with it. And I had to deal with it. But obviously I get it. Yeah, I would have walked off too. But he was just one of these people, and I remember him so distinctly. I don't think I'll ever forget his face. And he's just, so one time I'm working on the checkouts, you know, doing my thing, and he comes up and he starts his like usual annoyingness. I don't remember how this instigated, but he was being rude as usual. He was always rude. Different people knew he was rude. Like 4 managers like hated him. It was just like a thing. We knew this man sucked and was just so mean for no reason. And he was doing something, and we're talking, you know, I'm just trying to like get him through as quick as you can because I don't want to deal with him. And at one point I like said something, and he fucking mocked my voice. Like, he mimicked me. And I was like, this motherfucker. And I was like, can you just leave? I was like, honestly, like, he was like done, but you know, when they like slowly picking up the stuff, I was like, can you just leave? And he's like, did you ask me to leave? I was like, can you leave this fucking store? I was like, can you fuck off? I was just like, get out of my space. He was just like, and like throwing a tantrum. Like, he wasn't like threatening anything, but he's just like, oh, you can't speak to me like that, and just like walked off and like walked back into the store just to spite me. But I was like, that motherfucker. I was like so mad. I was like, fuck off. I was just so mad. And it's one of those things that's just like, mock my voice, fine. Like, it doesn't, it's not like it's a thing that affects me unless it's like a certain person, or like, you know, someone that really knows how to get under your skin. And because this is like a repeat offender, my arch nemesis, I was so mad, I was so shitty. And this beautiful gentleman behind him, like some old man, he was like, are you okay? And I was like, nah, this motherfucker. I was like, he does it all the time. And he was like, oh, like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's not your fault or anyone's fault. He's just like, I feel like he's a sad man. He was like, yeah, probably is. I got this nice connection with this sweet man that was like trying to comfort me, and because he could see I was like obviously outraged and distressed. But yeah, there was also this one other instance of this arch nemesis. Oh God. Ooh. he boils. This is why I don't like thinking about. I love telling these stories because I think they're so fun and funny to talk about, and just to really tell. We're spreading positivity here, but we're talking about these people that we are not going to be like. But God, it boils my blood. I remember one time we were in the sister checkout, the self-serve area, and it was one of those like busy times, so you have like 2 people in there. And we're having a chat, and I see him, and he was one of those people who was always like creepy around women too. Like he sucked so much. So he liked the co-worker that I was talking to because she's a woman, and he's like likes that. And I was like, oh, and she's like, yeah, he's a creepy old man. Like at another time she said he's just a creepy like middle-aged dude. But we were talking about something else. Like we had looked his way because like everyone knew him and how much he sucked, but we were completely talking about something else. We're like talking about something random. We're like laughing about it. She comes up to me the next day because I like went in, and she's like, you know how he walked past yesterday? I was like, yeah. And she's like, he came through my register today. I was like, oh, like cool. Like why? Did he say something? She's like, yes. He thought we were gossiping about him yesterday. I was like, this guy has nothing better to do, or he's so self-absorbed. He thinks we were talking about like attractive, like some like hot guy walked through, and we were like talking about him, and we were talking about like men and like height differences, and we're just shooting the shit and having a great time. And this man is so like concerned about what like these 2 like. Shit, we were both probably in our 20s, but 2 young people were like thinking when we're talking about something completely different. That gave me a little bit of happiness because I was like, with the fact that he like is so concerned that everyone's talking about it. I was like, babes, you're not, just because you're my arch nemesis doesn't mean you're that famous in this store, even though everyone fucking hates you. But God, there were just some people, and there were definitely like more of them that like, it's crazy to have a reputation like that in a store where all these people know how much of a bad person you are. Like, you have to be so horrid to so many different people to like spark up a reputation. Like, there were definitely customers where you'd be like, some people would be like, oh, they were so mean. I was like, oh, that sucks, because like they're really nice to me. And like people have bad days, and everyone there I feel like knows that. It's like a collective thing, like working in any sort of like retail and service and stuff. You know, people have bad days. You know, when people are just like angsty, or like, you know, weather's changing, school holidays are happening, different things that people are in a rush. You like forgive these things because you know people are human. Like, they fuck up, they're rude sometimes, you get over it. Sometimes people will be in and they'll be the nicest next time, and you're like, oh, like we just caught them on a bad day. But to have such like a horrible reputation at a store, for people to know how bad you are, you're just like, this is nuts. You're like, how, like, I don't know. It's one of those things that I can't fathom, like, from working in those. And I think everyone in life should have to work either retail or service for at least like a year. I think it teaches you so much how, like, I feel like everyone would be nicer to those people, because obviously be nice to fucking everyone. As someone who has worked those areas and knows like how mean people could be, I like, if I need to complain something, I'm like, don't worry, like, it's not a problem that much. Like, here's just the thing. I think it like really teaches you to just have some compassion. But yeah, it's crazy, and I do love thinking about it. Like, I know I'm seeing a couple of my older work friends tomorrow, and I'm like, I want to be like, hey, do you remember what was the worst people we have? Because it's funny when we have all these shared experiences or different memories of different people, because we all think of different people that we hated so much, or like bad experiences that we went through together. So I'll definitely try and gather some more if I have any fun stories. But yeah, that's the story of my arch nemesis, the person I hated the most. He just grinds my gears even thinking about it. I haven't seen him in years. Actually, I think I was there like maybe in the last year sometimes, because I don't work there anymore, but sometimes I'm around that area. I think I like saw him in the store, and I was just like, nah, fuck this, like walked up. I was like, I'm not going near that man. I was like, I can't do it. He makes me annoyed just looking at him. But for now, that's about it today. I hope you've enjoyed the stories we have gone through. Again, let me know stuff about like the movies I was talking about. Do you keep the movies on? Has you done jury duty? Let me know. Like, jury duty is a crazy thing. I don't know like if it's I know people who wait their whole lives and like never do it. There's like a heaps people like I think I talked about my parents that are like, yeah, never done it and stuff. But yeah, let me know. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about if you would, because I love like getting to see what people would like to hear more about or talk about randomly. I think that is the most fun. But I do like always like record these like a week or even a bit more in advance sometimes. So usually I reply to all comments. I love all your comments. They're so much fun. I will be like, oh, I'll talk about it. It just might not be in the next one because I don't know if I've recorded it or not. Other than that, let me know anything you'd like to talk about. I hope you enjoyed and are having a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in the next one.